What's going on, everybody? It is now week 9 of fantasy football. Hopefully you guys are in for a playoff run. Hopefully you are right there in the standings, in primetime spots to make the playoffs, because once you get in, anything can happen. You know that about fantasy football. I'm here to help you out. Got some questions to answer about who to start in your flex. Listen, if you want your questions answered, just go to Dustin's waiver wire video every Monday. Leave a comment below. That's where I look. I then pull them. I then bring them into an email. Then the graphics department makes the graphics. And then I answer your questions. So here we go. It is week 9, the flex. All right, our first question comes from Justin Allen. He wants to know if he should start Jared Cook tonight on Thursday Night Football or wait for Cooper Kupp. He's telling me that if he waits for Cooper Kupp and Kupp screws him over, he has Royce Freeman and Chris Hogan as his reserves. And I understand why you are dreading this Thursday Night Football game in this decision. I would wait for Kupp. I think he's worth the wait. I think he's going to play. Everything out of Roto saying he's on track to play. Sean McVay is saying that he thinks he's actually confident that Kupp's going to play. So I personally would wait for Kupp. Jared Cook had a good week last week, but I don't really trust that offense at all. Derek Carr does not look the same. They're having a fire sale there in Oakland, which means that Cook could get more targets going forward. I just don't know what to expect. It's Thursday Night Football. Thursday night games are always crazy, and you don't want to limit your options on Thursday, especially if Kupp plays. You're going to feel kind of silly about that because he is one of the better wide receivers here in fantasy football. I know Chris Hogan and Royce Freeman are not that great of options. I would check your waiver wire. Check out Dustin's waiver wire video. See if anyone he mentioned is on your waiver wire. Pick them up just in case. But I'd wait. I think Cooper Kupp's worth the wait. I think he's going to play this Sunday, and I think he's going to be fine. So wait for Cooper. All right, our next question is from Patrick Hill. He wants to know who to start in his flex between Aaron Jones, Amari Cooper, Kiki, Shady, Greg Olsen, or he's sorry to ask, Alex Collins. All right, well, first of all, that question was so long, I actually had to write it on my jury summons here to memorize it, because usually I memorize these things, and then I spit it back at you, and then I answer the question, but this was really long, so there you go, jury summons, the first piece of paper that was in my room. Listen, Alex Collins, he scored last week. I'm going to say the same thing I say about Alex Collins. He's not a viable play every week, and if you have other options, I would just go with those other options outside of Alex Collins. They're playing against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is really good against fantasy running backs, so the matchup there is not even good to begin with. He was playing someone like the Bucks, I would kind of get it, but he's not. He's playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Running backs don't typically put up many points against the Pittsburgh Steelers, so therefore, bench Alex Collins. Greg Olsen, listen, Cam is playing very well this year, and Greg is getting healthier. He scored a touchdown in the past 2 games. I like him a lot. I like Greg Olsen. I just don't know if I like him more than someone like a Shady who's going to get more touches, or a Kiki Qt, who is now the number 2 wide receiver there. Yes, Demaryius Thomas is there. They just made that trade with Denver. But I think Kiki's going to be the number 2 for a little bit until Demaryius gets worked in to that system. You guys know I'm a huge Aaron Jones fan. I'm an Aaron Jones truther, and Ty Montgomery is now out of the picture, which just leaves Jamal Williams there. But I don't know if I trust Mike McCarthy enough to start Aaron Jones over these players that you mentioned. So I'm going to go with Kiki. He's the number 2 option there now. That Texans offense seems to be hitting on all cylinders now. I know Will Fuller was a big part of that last week, but I think Kiki steps right in. I think he fills into that role. Demaryius is going to be a factor later on in the season. I just don't know if he's going to be a factor the first couple of weeks. I think that Texans offense was on the brink of being really, really good in the first few weeks, and they finally figured it out. I think Kiki is a very good candidate to score a touchdown, maybe 2 this week. Go Kiki. And summons. Okay, our next question comes from Clyde. He wants to know who to start full PPR between Kenny Galladay, who is not getting many targets, or Tyler Lockett, who's getting more targets than Doug Baldwin. Guess what? Golden Tate is now in the Philadelphia Eagles. That opens things up a lot for Kenny Galladay, who I liked already. I know the past few games he might have underperformed a little bit, but you know what? His targets are going to go way up. TJ Jones is going to step in as that number 3, and he's not going to see as many targets as Marvin Jones has been seeing as the number 3. I think Stafford's going to rely heavily on Galladay and on Marvin Jones. I think they both go up in fantasy value. I would start Kenny Galladay. Listen, Tyler Lockett scores a touchdown almost every week. He does, but he only has like 3 or 4 receptions. He is still touchdown dependent. I understand Doug Baldwin hasn't come around, but the Seattle Seahawks have been running the ball most of the time. They've turned into a run-first team Whereas the Lions, you know they're going to sling the rock with Matthew Stafford. Kenny Galladay is now the #1 receiver for a quarterback who loves to sling the rock. Go with Kenny Galladay here. All right, our next question is from David Tanner. He wants to know who to start in his flex PPR between Cooper Kupp, David Moore, Deshaun Jackson, or John Brown. Okay, so John Brown has been a little inconsistent the past few weeks. He did have a good week last week, which is nice, but he's fell off just a little bit. It is a rivalry game in Pittsburgh. I think that's going to be a very physical game. I think John Brown had a very good game against Pittsburgh early in the year, which is a good sign for John Brown owners. I think he's a decent start, but given the options, I don't think I would start him. Listen, I like Cooper Kupp a lot. I think if Cooper Kupp plays, start Cooper Kupp. But I'm going to give you my answer based off if he doesn't play, so I'm going to give you two options. Kupp plays, start Kupp. But if he doesn't play, I'm going to Deshaun Jackson over Moore and over John Brown. John Brown, I just gave you my reasons why. I'm not really sure what you're going to get from him now. I think he hit his ceiling earlier in the year. David Moore, listen, he's in an offense that runs the ball most of the time, and he's not the #1 option. Yes, he had a nice week last week, but I don't think he's going to be consistent at all. So I wouldn't trust him just yet. I think Deshaun Jackson, if Ryan Fitzpatrick is the quarterback, is a viable fantasy option. I mean, you saw the chemistry they had earlier in the year. Ryan Fitzpatrick comes into the game last week and he starts slinging the rock. I think that Deshaun Jackson probably scores a touchdown. They are playing Carolina, who has a nice front seven, but you know what? That secondary can be had. And I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is not afraid to throw the deep ball, and Deshaun Jackson is a candidate to have over 100 yards and a touchdown. I'd start him. All right, our last question is from S Money. He wants to know who to start in a standard league between Doug Baldwin and Aaron Jones. Now, first, Doug Baldwin. I am a huge fan of Doug Baldwin. I was really high on him this year. I still think he's a buy low candidate. I think eventually he's going to get going. He was hurt to start the season. Maybe he's just getting acclimated into the offense. But he and Russell Wilson do have chemistry together. That just doesn't go away. And just because he's hurt a little bit doesn't mean that Doug Baldwin is not Russ's favorite option in that offense. I just think he needs to get his feet underneath him. And that might happen this week, but I'm not sure if it does. Listen, Ty Montgomery is now out of Green Bay, and not that Ty was a big part of the offense. He still took away snaps from Aaron Jones. Now it's just between Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones, and Aaron Jones is absolutely better than Jamal Williams. And Mike McCarthy, please start realizing this. Give the ball to Aaron Jones. He had a touchdown last week. I think he probably has a touchdown this week. I think eventually he's going to be an RB2, maybe low-end RB1 if Mike McCarthy just gets his head on straight. This might as well be the flex with Josh Rodriguez featuring please start Aaron Jones to Mike McCarthy, because I know I've been saying this every week. But given the options, it's not PPR, so you're not going to get points per reception for a wide receiver. I would take Aaron Jones, who I expect to get at least 12 to 15 touches. I think that's reasonable. I think he might score. I think they should be utilizing him more, and I think that the Packers do know that, and eventually they're going to come around to that. Start Aaron Jones. Listen, I told you to start him last week, and he scored a touchdown, so it's not always wrong. It's not homerism. It's not trutherism if I'm right sometimes. So Aaron Jones over Doug Baldwin, but buy low on Doug Baldwin, people. I think he's going to have a nice end of the season. And that does it for week 9 of the flex. Listen, guys, if you want, you can follow me on Twitter at Josh_Rodriguez_. I'll do my best to answer your flex questions. Also, if you want to ask a question to be on the flex, go to Dustin's waiver wire video on Monday and ask the questions there. That's where I get my questions from to present to you and to answer. Thanks for watching. I will catch you on week 10. Good luck this week. It is now the end of the season here. There's only a few weeks left in the regular season for fantasy football. I wish you the best of luck. Take care. Catch you next week.